Starting off the top 10 list at number 10 is the Nike Zoom Vomero 5. This silhouette first dropped in the mid-2000s as purely a performance running sneaker. In fact, to this day, Nike still makes new Vomero sneakers that are literally only running sneakers. But for some reason in 2019, a cold wall took the shoe out of the Nike vault to use in a collaboration, and since then, it's been an incredibly popular sneaker. In fact, up until like last year, it was really difficult to find a pair of these in store. They kept selling out. The Nike Zoom Vomero 5 features Zoom Air cushioning in the midsole, as you can probably tell from the name Nike Zoom Vomero. The midsole cushion is relatively soft. It's definitely not as soft as some of the other sneakers we're going to talk about on today's list, but it is still very comfortable for all day wear. And the upper, even though it features a lot of TPU paneling around the midfoot and the heel, is still very breathable, especially in the toe area. And visually, this shoe is incredibly clean. It comes in a bunch of different colorways that are all very wearable. I personally prefer the more toned down like white, gray, and cream colors, but let's be honest, most of the colorways on this shoe are pretty decent. And there's just something about complicated looking 2000s running sneakers that's very popular right now, and this shoe does a great job of being exactly that. The Nike Zoom Vomero 5 costs $160, although it's not impossible to find pairs at the Nike outlet for cheaper or pairs on sale, and it fits pretty much true to size. And I personally think it's a great summer sneaker, so if you're looking to grab a new pair of shoes to wear on the boardwalk or whatever you do during the summer, this is a good way to go. Oh, and of course, this list is for lifestyle running sneakers, so yes, you can wear this shoe casually, as most people do, but you can also run in this shoe because it was originally designed as a running sneaker. It might not have all the newer tech or materials that some of these modern running sneakers have, but it still runs great. Number 9, the Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0. I can't remember the last time that this shoe wasn't on a list that I was making, whether it's a top 10 Adidas, top 10 most comfortable, top 10 lifestyle running sneakers. This shoe was on like every list that I make. And it's kind of wild because at this point in the Ultra Boost 1.0's life cycle, it's probably the least popular that it's ever been. When it first came out in 2015, the shoe was wildly popular because of the Kanye West effect, and then people realized how comfortable Boost was underfoot, and so for the next like 4 years, it was really difficult to get pairs of Ultra Boosts in store. Then from 2019 to like 2022, Adidas was trying out these different variations of new versions of the Ultra Boost, which never really caught on. And then I think maybe in 2021 or possibly 2022, they brought the Ultra Boost 1.0 back as purely a lifestyle sneaker, even though its original intention was to be the best running sneaker ever. And to this day, it's still a relatively popular everyday lifestyle shoe. Which sure, you can run in if you want, but in my opinion, there's better performance running options out there, especially for the price. This shoe is still one of the most expensive shoes on the list at $180. Kind of wild, and it doesn't really go on sale, at least not in the good colorways. When it comes to the fit of the Ultra Boost 1.0, it definitely fits snug, so if you like a looser fit, maybe go up half a size. If you like a more snug fit, go true to size, and if you like a really snug fit, go down half a size. I usually go true to size in the Ultra Boost 1.0, and I'm just fine with the snug fit. I could go up half a size, and I have done that in the past, but I'm fine with the standard size. But even though at this point the Ultra Boost 1.0 is almost 10 years old, it's still one of the most comfortable shoes available on the market. And the reason for that is not only the full-length Boost midsole, which is actually pretty thin compared to modern Boost midsoles, but you've also got a prime knit upper, which is incredibly breathable and incredibly soft on foot. Now, unlike the Ultra Boost 2.0 or 3.0, the prime knit material doesn't wrap all the way around the heel of the shoe and instead stops right at the tongue area of the sneaker, so it's not as stretchy as those shoes, but you still get the full effect of the prime knit because the back half of the shoe is padded anyway. You're not going to get any breathability or feel the prime knit. The opening of the shoe just won't be as stretchy, which is kind of a pain when you're putting the shoe on, but it's not that big of a deal. And in my opinion, the Ultra Boost 1.0 is still one of the best looking sneakers ever made. It's one of my favorite sneakers of all time. I love the shoe, and I definitely think it's worth checking out, but the retail price is high at $180, so if you can find a pair on sale, that's probably the move. But I mean, even if you pay the full $180, I don't think you're gonna regret it. Number 8, the New Balance Fresh Foam X 1080 V13. So the way that New Balance describes the shoe on the list is, if we made only one running sneaker, this would be it, which I guess means that this is their flagship running shoe, and I've got to say, it is a solid overall performance shoe. As you probably could have gathered from the name, this shoe features Fresh Foam X in the midsole, which is incredibly soft underfoot. This shoe is also classified on New Balance's website as extra soft, which, to be fair, it absolutely is. It's a max cushion sneaker and feels incredible underfoot. And the upper of the shoe is covered in engineered mesh, which is pretty breathable, especially around the toe. And then of course, you've also got some nice padding on the back of the tongue and on the heel. So I personally like this shoe a lot. I really like the fact that it's very comfortable for recovery runs and maybe slower runs. And also, it's not too soft to where it feels like you're falling into the shoe, but it is still bouncy enough to kind of spring you into the next step. Plus, it's not a bad looking shoe. Is it the prettiest shoe in the world? Probably not, but it's not a bad looking sneaker. You can wear it around and no one's gonna care. And you might notice that a lot of shoes on this list were also on my top 10 most comfortable sneakers of the year list, which is probably no surprise because a lot of these shoes are max cushion shoes. And this is one of the most comfortable shoes of the year. I think this shoe was like number 3 on that list. I don't remember exactly, but it was pretty high up. If you're looking to grab a pair of the 1080 V13s, they do fit pretty much true to size, and they cost $165, which is not crazy expensive, but it is higher than some of the other shoes on this list. Number 7, the Asics Nova Blast 4. The Nova Blast 4 is essentially a max cushion running sneaker that I think does a lot of things for a reasonable price. Obviously, the shoe features an incredibly soft midsole made up of FF Blast Plus Eco. Ridiculously long name, but it's very soft underfoot, so I don't really care. The shoe also comes with an engineered woven upper, which is relatively breathable and very well padded, especially around the heel. So when it comes to cushioning, this shoe is very plush all the way around. And the midsole sculpting is kind of cool. It's not my favorite of the Nova Blast sneakers. I think the Nova Blast 3 had a cooler midsole, and it's cool that they changed the midsole sculpting of every single Nova Blast sneaker. The Nova Blast 4 fits pretty much true to size and comes in at a retail price of $140, which is pretty standard for most running sneakers nowadays. And I definitely think it's a solid option for someone looking for a max cushion running shoe that also feels great on foot all day. I mean, I guess the styling of this shoe is a bit more aggressive than some of the other shoes on the list, so if you're trying to not wear a pair of shoes that look like a running sneaker to the office or to the store or whatever, maybe this isn't the one for you, but I definitely think it's a good option and worth checking out. Number 6, the New Balance 990 V6. The New Balance 990 line is probably one of their most popular lines of sneakers ever, and the 990 V6 is the latest version from that line, and in my opinion, it's the best looking one. As you would expect, this shoe is both a lifestyle sneaker and a running sneaker, obviously because it's on this list, but I would say that the 990 line has become more of a lifestyle line than a running line over time. Even this latest version, the 990 V6, yes, you can run in this shoe, and yes, it is specifically designed for running, but when it comes to running, it's definitely a more firm ride. It's definitely got a warmer upper than some of the other shoes that we've talked about, and it's not as high tech as some of the shoes that we've talked about. I would say it's sort of a modern traditional style running sneaker. But man, the quality of materials used on this shoe are amazing. Especially on this Castle Rock launch colorway, you've got this really nice suede around the mud guard and the heel of the shoe. You've got this very high quality feeling mesh in the toe, and then the other accents in the shoe just feel premium. Now to be fair, this is the most expensive shoe on the list at $200, so you'd hope that the shoe feels premium. But when you compare the shoe to other shoes out there like modern Jordans, which come in at like $215 base, the $200 price point doesn't seem that bad, especially when you see the quality difference between these shoes and the modern Jordan 1, which feels like a plastic shoe. Stylistically, I think the shoe is gorgeous. I think it's a beautiful modernization of the 990 line. Yes, I get it. It looks like a cookout shoe. It looks like a dad shoe. But that's the style. That's what people want. I mean, the last couple years were like the years of New Balance. The 990 line was one of the most popular lines of sneakers out there. I think in 2024, the popularity of New Balance is fading a little bit and it's leaning more towards Mizuno and Asics and brands like that. But New Balance still makes great sneakers, and the 990 is just an excellent all-around lifestyle shoe that can be used as a running sneaker. Maybe not as plush as some of the other shoes on the list. It's definitely a firmer ride than most of them, but still feels very good on foot. The upper of the shoe is very well padded, albeit not the most breathable in the world, but it looks amazing. Feels good. Again, if you like the more traditional sort of firm ride style. Oh, and before I forget, when it comes to sizing, this shoe is interesting. I would say that this shoe does fit true to size, but in some cases it can feel a little bit big. In the past, when it comes to 990 sneakers, I've grabbed a size 8.5 when I'm usually a size 9, so I've gone down half a size. In this shoe, I went with the size 9 and it feels fine, but I could see myself going down to a size 8.5 if I wanted a more snug fit. So I guess I would recommend true to size, but it also doesn't hurt to go down half a size if you have more narrow feet or just like a more snug fit. They do also offer wide options, so if you have wide feet, you can grab the 9 wide if you have a size 9 wide foot, or size 11 wide, or whatever size you are. Core. Number 5, the Nike Invincible Run 3. So I'm pretty sure this shoe released over a year ago, which means that I think that there is a replacement shoe coming, possibly sometime this year. To be honest, I haven't heard anything about it, so it's possible that it's just not happening, but this is one of those shoes that you might want to be more cautious about grabbing right now if you're trying to grab the latest and greatest. That said, if you don't mind buying this shoe and then a couple months the new version of the shoe coming out, I'd say grab it because a lot of colorways of this shoe are on sale for reasonable prices, especially because the standard retail price of this shoe is $190. Now I realize at this point I haven't given you any reasons why this shoe is so great. In my opinion, the Nike Invincible Run 3 is one of the most comfortable sneakers ever made. The midsole of this shoe comes with Nike Zoom X foam, which is one of the softest foams out there. It's ultra responsive, ultra lightweight, and if you're looking for a max cushion midsole, you should definitely check this shoe out. Now, in addition to the ultra soft midsole, you've also got a Flyknit upper, which is relatively breathable and does flex with your foot pretty well. The one downside that I have with this shoe is that the midsole is pretty tall. It's even taller than the previous version of this shoe, the Invincible 2, and because of that, it does feel unstable at times. Not all the time. I've only had this issue like once or twice, price, but it's something to keep in mind if you're grabbing this shoe. To be fair, it does kind of come with the territory. If you're grabbing an Ultra Max cushion shoe that's relatively tall because you've got so much soft foam underneath your foot, it could be unstable. It makes sense, but it's a great max cushion running sneaker, excellent for recovery runs, and it's also a great lifestyle sneaker because it's so soft and plush underfoot. When it comes to fit, the Invincible Run 3 fits true to size, and like I said before, the price of this shoe is $190, but you can probably find pairs of these on sale right now through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. Number 4, the Mizuno Wave Rider 10. So every few years, a new brand catches my attention and I go all in on that brand. Like 3 years ago, it was New Balance, last year it was Asics, and this year, I think it's Mizuno. We've already had one pair of Mizunos on the list in the honorable mention category, the Wave Rider Betas, which essentially are a modernized version of this shoe, but in my opinion, the Wave Rider 10 is where it's at because this shoe just looks amazing. This shoe first dropped back in 2007 as a running sneaker, and now in 2024, it's become a great all-around lifestyle shoe. Obviously, being a shoe from the mid-2000s, the technology is not as advanced as some of the other shoes on the list, as we've already said about the Vomeros, but this shoe is definitely something that I think is very comfortable underfoot. But even though the tech is a little bit older, it's still a shoe that you can run in if you want to, and you can wear it around all day like I have been for the last couple weeks. Genuinely, this might become the most worn shoe on the list. It's not at the moment just because I only got it a couple weeks ago, but I've been wearing it so much, I wouldn't be surprised if it just surpasses everything else. Tech-wise, this shoe features what Mizuno calls an air mesh upper, which is a pretty breathable, wide mesh upper. Of course, you got the classic 2000s metallic silver overlays, you've got the Runbird accent logo on the midfoot of the shoe, and what's nice is that the front half of the shoe is so breathable and the back half of the shoe is so well padded, they come together really nicely and create a very comfortable on-foot experience. The midsole, while not as soft as some of the other shoes on the list because it is a much older shoe than a lot of the shoes on the list, it is still very comfortable underfoot, and you do have the Mizuno Wave technology in the midfoot of the shoe, which is essentially a plate that kind of disperses the impact. It's something that the Wave Rider Beta also features, except in a slightly different shape, and it does a decent job. It keeps the shoe feeling springy and bouncy, and I also love the fact that you can actually see through the midsole right there. I know that doesn't really have much to do with anything, I just think it looks cool. When it comes to fit, this shoe does fit pretty much true to size, at least that's how I feel about this shoe, and the price is $150, which is not incredibly cheap, but also not too expensive. This is definitely one of those shoes on this list that leans more towards lifestyle wear than performance running, but it's the kind of shoe that you can do both in and look good doing it. At least I think so. I think this shoe is awesome. Number 3, the Nike Pegasus 41. The Peg 41 is the latest in the long line of storied Nike Pegasus sneakers, and in 2024, the jump between the Peg 40 and the Peg 41 is actually a more significant jump than it was on last year's model. The biggest change on this shoe is the midsole cushioning setup. The Peg 41 features air zoom units in the forefoot and in the heel, but both of those air zoom units are encapsulated by the Nike React X foam. Now, although React X sounds like something completely different than Nike React, it's actually the exact same foam. The only difference is the manufacturing process. Rather than the foam being compressed into shape, it's actually injected into a mold and expands into the shape, which means it's a little bit airier, a little bit bouncier, and according to Nike, is 13% more responsive than standard React. Now, in my opinion, it does feel good underfoot. It feels a little bit softer than standard Nike React, but not by much. And man, that Nike React X paired with those air zoom units feel great underfoot. I think this shoe is not only a great everyday running sneaker, one that I've trained in many times since I've gotten it, and I really enjoy it, but it's also the kind of shoe that's low-key enough and good-looking enough that you can wear to the store, you can wear around the house, or you can wear to wherever you're going, and no one will question it because it's a low-key, normal-looking pair of shoes. Style-wise, this is definitely one of those fly-under-the-radar shoes, unless you get the Volt colorway, which is crazy bright, and I think it's just a great all-around sneaker for both running and for lifestyle wear. It's comfortable, it's decent looking, and it's only $140. Fit-wise, true to size, just like the Peg 40 from last year, and apparently they used the same last in this shoe, so it makes sense that it fits the same. The Pegasus 41 is just a really great everyday shoe. In my opinion, it's definitely worth checking out. Number 2, the Asics Gel Kayano 14. The Asics Gel Kayano 14 released back in 2008 as purely a running sneaker, and a few years after its release, the shoe faded into obscurity, but for some reason over the last year and a half to 2 years, the Gel Kayano 14 has not only become incredibly popular, but one of the most popular sneakers of the entire year. This year, there's been this resurgence of 2000s running sneakers. For some reason, that style is really hot right now. Whenever people think of that style, they think of the Asics Gel Kayano 14. I mean, this shoe features all the quintessential 2000s running sneaker hits. You've got the metallic silver, you've got the wide mesh, you've got the gel accents in the midsole. It looks like it came right out of 2008 because it did. But the good news is, not only does this shoe look good, it also feels great on foot. It's a very comfortable sneaker. The upper of the shoe is very well padded and relatively breathable. The midsole of the shoe features visible Asics gel technology, which feels pretty nice underfoot. And of course, this shoe wouldn't be in this video if you couldn't run in it. I mean, obviously you can because it's a running sneaker. I mean, does it feature all the technologies that you have on modern running sneakers? Not really, but it's still a decent overall shoe. You can still run in it. It might not be as soft underfoot as something like the Invincible Run 3s, but it's still a great sneaker that you can definitely train in or wear to the office, or in this case, wear on the runway, which is happening with this shoe, which is kind of wild. The Asics Gel Kayano 14 does fit pretty much true to size and comes in at a retail price of $150, and actually up until recently, it was hard to get pairs of these because they kept selling out. But the good news is, pairs of these are becoming more widely available, so it's not that difficult to find in store anymore. Number 1, the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V4. So probably no surprise to you if you watch my videos, this shoe is on the top of another list, once again, because this shoe is absolutely incredible. The Fuel Cell Rebel V4 was number 1 on my list of the top 10 most comfortable sneakers of the year, and I stand by that months later. This shoe is not only insanely light and breathable, but the Fuel Cell foam used in the midsole is incredibly soft underfoot. And of course, being number 1 on the list, it has to be both a good running sneaker and also a good lifestyle sneaker, and in my opinion, this shoe does both of those things perfectly. So this shoe has actually become my daily training shoe. Yes, I also run in the Nike Pegasus 41 and the Mizuno Neo Vista, but this is a shoe that I throw on most often because I just like the way it feels underfoot. And man, does that Fuel Cell foam deliver. It's very soft underfoot, incredibly well cushioned. I would say that this is generally a max cushion shoe, but it does provide some springiness so you don't feel like you're falling into the shoe. It kind of bounces you into the next step, which is nice. And while yes, I do run a few times a week, it is nice to have a shoe that kind of helps me on my run. Not only is the cushion great underfoot, but the upper is super breathable because basically it's just a mesh. There's really not much in there to block the airflow, and I'm fine with that. And consequently, it's also one of the lightest shoes on the list, if not the lightest shoe on the list. Sizing wise, the Rebel V4 does fit true to size, and that's what I recommend if you're grabbing a pair for yourself. But of course, we can't forget about the Fuel Cell Rebel V4. It's just a plain lifestyle sneaker, and it excels at that as well. In my opinion, it looks decent. It's definitely got a running sneaker aesthetic, but I don't think that's a bad thing, and you can grab it in like black colorways or colorways that are simpler than this, and it's also incredibly comfortable underfoot, which I've already mentioned like 4 different times already. This shoe is definitely worth checking out. Now what's even better is that this shoe isn't too expensive. It comes in at a middle of the road price of $140, which means that it's relatively accessible for anyone who wants a pair of shoes that can do everything, whether it's running or just walking around the office. I mean, let's be honest, if you're looking for a max cushion shoe that does it all, the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V4, in my opinion, is the way to go. And of course, you can grab a pair for yourself through the YouTube shopping tab. But hey, that pretty much wraps things up for today. Let me know your thoughts on this list in the comment section down below, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.